A series of deadly shootings has renewed talks of red flag laws, which allow a judge to order weapons to be taken away from someone who poses a risk to themselves or to others. In Suffolk County, New York, more than 100 red flag cases have been filed since the law took effect in August of 2019. That's according to the New York Times. So for more, let's bring in Geraldine Hart. She's the former police commissioner of Suffolk County, New York, just outside New York City, and she helped direct the law's rollout. Geraldine, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time. These red flag laws, passing them is one thing, but implementing them, as you well know, is entirely something else. What are some of the challenges that you faced in trying to do so?
No, thank you, and thank you for having me. So, yeah, it's exactly what you said. The law was passed in August of 2019, and we really saw it as a really valuable tool for us in the police department. So we wanted to make sure that we were implementing it effectively, certainly, but also responsibly. So we took a number of steps to do so. Our first step, and probably the most important, was the outreach effort. So we really wanted to connect with the community. We wanted to let them know about the law and what it was and what it wasn't. So certainly where it was applicable and instances where it wasn't applicable. That was very powerful for us. And also with our school superintendents, that was a big piece. This is, a tool that we have. We want you to know about it. We want you to know that it's out there if you need to use it. And we certainly will partner with you to help you use it, because it's one thing to enact legislation and roll it out, but it's another to make sure that people understand it and how to use it effectively. So we did the outreach piece. That was very important. And then we did the training. The training of our officers, pulling them off the street, training them on this, because they're the ones who are seeing people in crisis, seeing people that perhaps are a threat to themselves or others. And we want them to know that this law is available and how to use it. And then really just an ongoing support system for the officers so that they can, reach out if they have a question to an attorney. So we had our legal bureau on a 24/7 rotation to answer any questions that the officer might have, that he is in a situation that is really very concerning to him or her, and they really need a solution. And so we really thought that the red flag law was something that can make a difference in people's lives and make our county safer.
And what has been the impact? I mean, how effective of a tool did you find that such laws trying to keep firearms out of potentially dangerous people's hands turned out to be where you are?
Yeah, I think it was effective. I mean, I could tell you that, we've had family members talk to us about it, that they didn't know that the young person, their student or teenager was, having suicidal ideations or was speaking, at length about guns that were in the house and his intention on using them. So things like that were really powerful. And to have that family in front of a judge and the judge to say to them, listen, this is not okay. This is not some, harmless pastime. This is very serious and consequential. And I think families were able to hit pause and really get perhaps the help that young person needed. And that was really impactful for us.
In Congress, they are talking about a proposal that would provide some grants to states to try to incentivize them to implement red flag laws. Do you think that would be an effective way to kind of legislate on this?
I think it would, and I think also it's also kind of sends the message that there needs to be some, rollout with it. It needs to be outreach and support and training with it in a systematic way, and in a way that is not just in the immediate, aftermath of the legislation, but a prolonged effort to make sure that people understand what it is. I know the governor just expanded those that can file a petition, a red flag law petition, to healthcare workers. So, again, to partner with them and train them and let them know that the police department is there to help them.
Yeah, outreach and information is key. Some conservatives are arguing that states with the highest rates of murder by guns, the places where you're having the highest rates of murders by guns are happening in cities with the most restrictive gun laws. This is kind of the argument that they're making when asked to respond in some way to these recent shootings. But how would you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of discussion going on around this topic, both on the local, state, and federal level. And these are important conversations that we need to have. And there are, a plethora of different tools that are being discussed and being, debated. And certainly for us in Suffolk County, we definitely felt that the red flag law was a very valuable tool and something that we really effectively used, and I hope that will continue to be used in that way.
Yeah, certainly has some support from both sides of the aisle, and we've seen it passed in red states as well. And in your experience, I mean, what are some of the things that you've seen that have actually had a demonstrable effect on reducing crime? Because we're hearing this in city after city after city that this is an issue. What are some of the things that you have done to help curb crime?
So for us in Suffolk, I mean, we did a number of different things. Many of them were proactive in nature, and certainly different ways of looking at an issue. So I'll give an example of human trafficking, which was certainly an issue in Suffolk County, and we really kind of changed the paradigm and looked at the victims not just as criminals, really, but as the victims that they were, which led us to get their cooperation and lead us up the chain to bigger traffickers. So, you know, it's also in the area of opioids, not just, criminalizing. Obviously, there are crimes that go along with it, but can we talk about prevention and treatment along with those? So depending on the actual issue, certainly proactive when you can be, and precision policing, of course, in areas that are experiencing high intense crime rates. That's certainly something that was very effective for us in Suffolk County. We started the gun task force, and that was very effective for us to really just focus in on those specific crime problems that we were having, persistent crime problems.
A potential roadmap for other places as well. Geraldine, Hart, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It was great to be with you.